Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. So today we're going to talk about the U.S. debt ceiling. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen released a pretty dire, almost frightening warning to say that the U.S. government, the federal government, is going to run out of cash by June 1st. That is 1 month from now. That is not a good thing. And so I want to help you separate fact from fiction. I want to help you understand what's really going on with this debt ceiling crisis. And so we're going to get started. So buckle up a seatbelt. We're getting started on the Black Financial Channel right now. Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I am your friendly neighborhood finance professor. On the Black Financial Channel, we talk about Black wealth and Black economics every single day, sometimes as much as 10 times a day under the B1 condition. B1 means we are Black first. Black first means that we put our community at the top of our priority list. Black first means we educate our kids. Black first means that we believe in wealth building and we break generational curses. So if you are B1, put a B1 in the chat. Also, shout out the city you're from. Let me know which city you're coming from. I see Black Bezos. How you doing? Thank you. You are welcome. Jerry Early from B1 from Los Angeles. Good to see you, Jerry. We were in Los Angeles a few weeks ago for our first Black Wealth training camp. I'm doing my last Black Wealth training camp in Dallas on May 19th. So if you'd like to come in for 2 days, we're going to do 2-day deep dive training. And we're going to focus on my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, which is basically 10 simple strategies any family can apply, really rules rather, that will help you build a legacy of wealth that will last the next 200 years. I have 100 pages of slides in the study guide. I'm going to go through it in a deep dive right there with you in the room. You're going to meet other wealth builders and you're going to learn and grow. So if you want to just come on a trip to Dallas, fly on down May 19th. Go to boycewatkins.com to learn more. You can go to Amazon and get a copy of the book. All right. So anyway, guys, Legends of Philly says, why are y'all always trying to scare people? Actually, that's a great point you make. My goal is not to scare anybody. My goal is to let you know the difference between the things that you should be concerned about and the things you shouldn't be concerned about. There are some things you should be afraid of. And then there are some things where people, you're right, people just get scared for no reason. Let me just say this. The debt ceiling situation is a big deal. How many of you have been following this? How many of you even know what I'm talking about when I talk about the debt ceiling conversation? It's okay if you don't know. And I'm going to give you some background on this to help you understand what could and could not happen, what the implications could be, how you can actually make money from this, and what might happen to your stocks, things like that. Give me a yes if you've been following this at all. How you doing, Pastor Diane White from Louisville, Kentucky? All right, Louisville is my hometown. God bless you, sister. Thank you so much. All right, so let me read some of this to you. Here on CNBC, it says that the U.S. could fail to meet its debt obligations sooner than expected. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warned in a letter to House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Yellen said a drop in tax receipts means that the U.S. debt could hit the debt ceiling as soon as June 1st, earlier than Wall Street and Washington had estimated. In light of the new earlier estimate, President Joe Biden invited the Big Four congressional leaders to a May 9th meeting at the White House to discuss the debt limit. So what Janet Yellen is saying is that basically because the IRS has not been able to collect as much money as it might normally collect, that this is going to cause some problems in terms of the ability of the U.S. government to pay its bills. So this is no different from your household saying, look, because Billy lost his job and he's not going to be bringing home a steady paycheck anymore, we now have a financial problem because we need our credit card. We need our credit card limit to be expanded so we can pay some of these bills. So Janet Yellen, there she is. She's looking very serious. She's a very serious person, very smart economist. She's kind of warning to say that by June 1st, the government will not be able to pay its bills. So then the question is, is the government out of money? Is that something you should be concerned about? Is that something that we should worry about? Well, let me just say this. I think that it is something you should pay attention to. I think it's something worth discussing because if the government doesn't find a way to find a compromise between Democrats and Republicans on this debt ceiling issue, you're gonna probably have some sort of set of events that feels almost crisis-like in nature. You're gonna see that default where the government will step forward and say, look, we can't pay the bills on time. And that's going to actually reduce the credit score of the U.S. government. So it's no different from in your own life. If you stop paying bills, what happens to your credit score? Does it go up or does it go down? What happens when you don't pay your bills? Right? So your credit score goes down. So effectively, when the government doesn't pay its bills, when the government defaults, if this ever were to happen, it's gonna kind of be a shock to the system because a lot of the valuations, a lot of wealth, our perception of wealth in this country is built on valuations. And what happens is that these valuations come from economic models. These economic models have fundamental assumptions. For example, one that government debt is 100% risk free, that the federal government will always pay its bills, that the government will never come up short on its obligations. If that assumption were to ever change, the valuation of everything just drops. Everything, it just drops, right? So effectively, what does that mean? That means you own stock, your stock price drops. You own a house, the value of your home could drop. The economy, GDP, all that drops, right? So effectively, the government is in this really interesting situation where you have this gigantic ship that could take us very far, but it could also kill a lot of people. So you're kind of riding on the ship that could become the Titanic, or it could actually just get you to where you want to get to. And you have a bunch of idiots that are driving the ship. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think the Republicans and the Democrats are a bunch of damn children. I wish we could get good people into office in order to run this country, people who are thinking about what this country is going to look like in 50 years, what it's going to look like in 100 years. Now, Mona's asking, will that weaken the dollar? Yeah, the dollar's already being weakened by things like just inflation, overprinting this currency, and then going so deep in debt. These are all factors that are really going to harm this country long term. For now, it's not kicking our butt, but I'm going to show you something that basically kind of explains the gist of how deep this crisis is running. So what I'm putting up on the screen, while you hit the thumbs up button, please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. This graph I'm going to show you guys is the national debt clock. This is usdebtclock.org. So you can literally go to this page and you can look at the U.S. government debt in real time. So if you look at this debt clock, you'll see here, up here in the upper left-hand corner is the U.S. national debt. That's 520. See, I can't even keep up with the thousands because the debt is going up probably about $10,000 a second. I'm going to guess that our U.S. government debt is going up by $10,000 per second. That is $94,762 per citizen, $247,766 per taxpayer. Now, the deficit, which is different from the debt is the total of what you owe. The deficit is the shortfall of this year. The deficit, 1.4 trillion. It's crazy. And then there's another graph, another stat that just always freaks me out. I hope I can find it. I don't know if I can find it here because it's not on the mobile app. But there is a debt to GDP ratio, which is kind of debt. Here we go. I found it. Yeah, it's right here at the very top. I want you to look at this right here where my cursor is. Can you all see this? Give me a yes if you can see where my cursor is at the very top. Do you see where it says 52.95%? And that's a federal debt to GDP. That's almost like when you go buy a house and they ask you, or they calculate your loan to income ratio or your debt to income ratio, right? That's what that is. It's kind of like a debt to income ratio. Well, if you look at this, in 1960, the debt to income ratio or debt to GDP in the US was 52.95%. In the 1980s, we actually got a little more efficient. It dropped to 34.57%. In 2000, it went up a little bit to 58.14% before 9/11, before the Iraq war, before COVID, before the financial crisis of 2007. Now look at that number. Do y'all see that? Give me a yes if you see that on the chart. Look at how big that number is. 120%. That's debt to GDP, debt to income, 120%. So effective, it's not even real income. I mean, if you look at debt to tax revenue, it's insanely, the ratio is much, much higher. Right, debt to tax revenue. I think our total tax revenue. Let me see. Our total tax revenue. This is now just to give you some comparison. Our total tax revenue is $4.6 trillion a year. The total debt is $31 trillion. So what does that mean? How do you compare this? How would you process this as a regular person? Well, that's like a person who makes $46,000 a year, who is $310,000 in debt. If your friend came up and told you that I make $46,000 a year, but I'm $310,000 in the hole. I got $310,000 in my credit card debt. I got $310,000 in my mortgage. That also includes my student loans. Would you consider that person to be in a good financial situation or a bad one? What would you say? You think that's good or bad? You think they're healthy, they're doing well, they're making smart choices? Or would you say, dude, you've got to change something? What would you say to that person? So this is what your government's doing, and this is what bothers me. This is why I act like a weirdo when I talk about this. It's because it makes me mad. I'm a financial guy. That's my background, my PhD. That's what my doctorate's in, is in finance, and there's no planet on which those sorts of ratios make any good economic sense. The only reason the federal government feels like it's okay to do this is because they get to print the money. The money's denominated in dollars. They get to print their own dollars. The countries that are in debt to the United States can't print dollars, so they're stuck. But anybody heard of BRICS? Give me a yes if you've been following that with the BRICS countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Anybody been following what the BRICS countries have been doing? Where they've been moving away from the U.S. dollar as their primary currency, as the what they call it, not storage. Yes, I'm losing my words right now. But basically, that's not the currency that most trade is occurring in right now, or at least they're trying to move away from that. Well, then that does devalue your dollar. Now, does that mean that you're going to have a financial calamity around the corner? No, you do not. That does not mean that. So I don't want you to walk away screaming bloody murder or the world's coming to an end. I don't want to create any chicken littles in this space. But I don't want you to be oblivious to the cosmic mistake of having idiots running your government who don't care about the future. They only care about getting elected over the next 4 years. They're not doing anything that's financially or fiscally responsible. They can't cut anything. This debt is not going to go down. I can't imagine this debt going down. It's only going to keep going up because we don't have the political will to fix that. They're going to keep on increasing the debt ceiling, and every so often there's going to be that same debate. Well, what are we going to increase? The Republicans are going to say, well, you got to cut things. And then the Democrats are going to say, no, you can't cut things. Right. And then you're going to end up or actually, it's interesting because both parties want to cut something. Right. The Republicans think that spending should be cut in general, which I don't disagree with. But the Democrats also believe that these tax cuts for the rich should be dealt with. Remember, the reason that you had good ratios in 2000, 58% was your debt to GDP ratio. You had a good ratio in 2000, and your ratio went up to 120% in 2023 because Bush, right after 2000, you had 9/11, you had the Iraq wars, which in the Afghanistan wars, which no one can still explain to me why we did that. You had the financial crisis of 2007, 2008, and then you had the pandemic. In all four of those cases, they were printing money and spending money like rappers. And so now 20 something years later, you've got insanely bad financial ratios that really threaten the stability of this country. And at some point, I bet you that the Democrats and Republicans will not be able to make a deal by the deadline. The debt ceiling won't be raised, and you're going to see all kinds of financial hell break loose, all kinds of chaos. So just be mindful of what's going on. Pay attention to this. This is a black swan-ish kind of event that could affect your stocks and things like that. In fact, if you stick around to the end of the video, I'll dig into my account and find a stock that I just bought or a stock that I like and share it with you. But overall, this is serious stuff. So do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. If you ever want to get text alerts when I go live, just text the word Boyce to 31996. Text Boyce to 31996. And I can let you know when I go live. This podcast is also on Spotify. So if you are into intelligent Black conversations, particularly about economics, then you can look up my name, Boyce Watkins, or look up the Dr. Boyce Breakdown on Spotify, and you can find it there. So let me look at my portfolio. I'm gonna find the stock that I own a big piece of, and I'll just share that with you in case that's information that can be helpful to your family in terms of building wealth. Let me see here. I'm going to sort. I don't even, I literally, to be honest with you, I buy stock all the time. I don't waste money. I just buy stock. Like I don't buy shoes and cars and stuff. We already have a car. I take my money and I just buy more stock. And because I just believe that stock accumulation is a key to wealth. So one company I have a big stake in that's done extremely well that I really believe in is Chipotle. Chipotle's ticker symbol is CMG. So far, my Chipotle shares have made me about 22% since I started buying. That's the average gain on all the stock that I've owned. I believe that there's still more upside. I believe Chipotle is going to keep going up when the economy gets better. So Chipotle is kind of my stock pick of the day. Now, if you want to learn more about how I invest and things like that, feel free to check out my stock options masterclass. I think stock options are a great way for you to invest in a variety of ways that will allow you to generate income as well as calibrate your risk or get leverage or buy into the market without putting up as much money. So feel free to go to stockoptionsmasterclass.com. So let me let me give you kind of a closing thought on some of this. As I'm reading this, they're basically saying that the government's kind of scrambling because they know they're going to run out of cash by June 1st. The date is earlier than most Wall Street economists were expecting. So it says here that Goldman Sachs' latest estimate this week put the deadline at some point in late July. So Goldman Sachs believes that the government's going to run out of money in late July, but Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, is contradicting that statement. And Goldman Sachs did acknowledge that a weaker than expected tax receipt or weaker than expected tax receipts could advance the timeline. Now, one thing about the tax receipts is really interesting. I don't know if anybody saw this, but the IRS is hiring like thousands and thousands and thousands of new federal agents to come and collect that money. In fact, they're actually hiring federal agents who will show up at your house with weapons, prepared to do what's necessary to collect that money. So, and here's the crazy part. They're going to go after some of the rich people for sure, but rich people can afford lawyers and afford to defend themselves. So they're going to really go after a lot of regular working class people. This is one of the problems with this country is that most of the taxes, a big chunk of the tax burden falls on people that go to work every day. This is one of the reasons why I tell you all, you got to have your family LLC. You want to teach your kids how to start a business because all of the tax advantages in this country go to investors, wealth builders, people who own companies, who own entities, because they can write things off. So a family business allows you to write off some of your family gatherings because they become de facto business meetings, right? Because you're meeting with your partners. So if your partner happens to be your sister, then you get to see your sister while you're also having fun and making money at the same time. That's pretty cool. So I encourage you to really sort of embrace this. We're not going to change America. We're not going to make America suddenly become fair or socialist or anything like that. It's going to be America for a long time until we're all dead. So I encourage you to kind of pay attention to how things are done in this country and really, really make sure that your family understands who the advantages are built for and not built for. America is not a country where working people, America is not a country where working people are supposed to get rich. America is a country where working people unfortunately get stuck on a treadmill that's really moving backward. It's a treadmill that is moving faster than you're actually running. So you're running really hard only to move backward in terms of actual wealth and positive net worth. You go to school, you get a good job, they pay you okay, but wages are not going up for educated people. During a year of historic inflation, workers' wages for college educated workers actually went down in the same year that inflation went up. So as inflation goes up 6 or 7%, the wages of college educated people actually went down 6 or 7%. So if you add 6 plus 7, that's a 13% drop in your real earning power that occurred. And so ultimately, working people, especially those with student loans, things like that, who don't have the ability to make money in other areas like real estate, business ownership, stock market investing, that you're just not supposed to be a wealth builder. So what I encourage you to do is to make sure when you talk to your kids and you're teaching your family about wealth, you teach them the way wealthy people kind of operate. Wealthy people accumulate assets. They buy real estate. They buy stock. For example, I'll give you a real life example that just happened recently. How many of you have seen all the job cuts that have been occurring in the tech industry? Anybody? I assume if you've been following this channel, you've heard me talk about the layoffs at Facebook, the layoffs at Google, the layoffs at Microsoft, the layoffs at Amazon. See, they tend to move in packs. They tend to do the same thing at the same time. This is David Hirschleifer, who was on my dissertation committee, wrote about this. He calls that the herding effect. Corporations and executives, they tend to all move together because their security, their safety in numbers, right? They can say, well, the reason we're laying off at Amazon is because Apple's having layoffs. And Apple says, well, we're laying off because Microsoft is laying off. So they all did it at the same time, right? So all these people, thousands of people were losing their jobs. Well, earnings come out. And guess what happens? All these companies that were laying off thousands of workers, their earnings numbers are through the roof. So who's winning when this happens? It's very sad to see people lose their jobs. I hate to see it. But I'm a shareholder in a lot of these companies. A lot of these companies their stocks were going crazy. Has anybody followed Facebook stock since in the last 6 months? Has anybody followed Facebook stock? Have you seen it? Have you seen what's been going on or they're called Meta now, but whatever. Yeah, I still call them Facebook. Look at Facebook. Look at Facebook stock. Look at the amount of money Facebook shareholders have been making. They've been making money hand over freaking fist. Let me see if I can find. Let me put it on the screen. Look at this. Check this out. 168.59% in the last 6 months. That means that if you put if you took say $400 that you might have spent on BS and put that money into Facebook stock, that $400 would now be $1,000. That $4,000 would be $10,000. That's 6 months. 6 months. And the thing is that we were talking about buying Facebook stock back when it was down here. We do stock market Tuesdays. Every Tuesday we have stock market investing class, and the people that are there will know, they'll confirm. I was talking about Facebook stock a while back because analysts were predicting, okay, this stock is oversold. It dropped. And these companies are smart. They know how to make money even in bad economic conditions. So as the economy was changing, they said, okay, let's tighten the belt. Let's cut some employees. Let's cut some expenses, and let's get back to the business of making money. Netflix stock has been a blockbuster. Anybody follow Netflix stock? Netflix stock blew up my portfolio over the last 6 months. So there are opportunities in every economy. That's the point. There are opportunities everywhere. I want you to be positioned where the opportunities lie. So anyway, that's it, guys. I don't know what this government's going to do. I'll keep you posted in terms of what I see. I think we have idiots that are running this country. I don't think they're talking to the right people. And even when the Federal Reserve was causing the inflation problem, believe me, there were experts on TV who said, "Don't keep printing money like this. Don't keep spending like this. You're going to have an inflation problem." I kid you not. There were literally so many people who were telling them what was going to happen. And I don't know who they were listening to, but then it happened. And everyone's like, we told you it was going to happen. So this is our country. This is the world we live in. I want you to be smarter than that. And so that's it. So if you want to join the stock market investing class, you can even do a free trial or participate in anything we have going on in the Black Business School. We've helped over 10 million people. I left Syracuse University's faculty because I wanted to start the Black Business School. Since that time, we have helped well over 10 million of our people learn how to invest, build wealth for their families. Some of y'all are millionaires now. I'm so happy for you. Your children are going to be millionaires. So if you'd like to learn more, just go to my website, boycewatkins.com. You can also join us for the live training camp in Dallas on May 19th. I'm not going to do a lot of these in the future, so this is probably the last one I do for a while. And last but not least, I'm going to answer one question. Black Bezos, because I've seen you in here before, brother, and I appreciate your support. What are counterfeit shares? Can you explain naked shorting? Okay, counterfeit shares. That particular term, I don't use that term, but there is something called in stock options called a stock replication strategy, where you can actually buy options in a way where you put up less money, but you can get the same benefits, the same effects as if you own the stock. And so that is something that we do talk about. If you want to learn options from us in the Black Business School, we have a stock options masterclass right there. Feel free to take a look at that. Also, in terms of naked shorting, I don't call it naked shorting, but shorting can typically be done in a naked fashion where basically you sell the stock before you actually buy it. A buy and a sell must match together, just like a mommy and a daddy. But there's no rule saying that you have to buy something before you can sell it, or that you have to sell something before you can buy it. You can switch things around. So that's the beauty of finance, because finance is what I call a financial time machine. So there we go. So that's the 2 cents. Tomorrow we'll be doing some more stock market stuff. So just go to my website, boycewatkins.com, if you'd like to join us in class, and I'll answer your questions. You can send me questions, and I answer student questions all week long. So God bless you guys. Have a great day. Thank you so much for listening. Hit the thumbs up button. My new book is called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. It is available on Amazon. The reviews are extremely good. It is a bestseller. I know you're going to love it. So feel free to go to Amazon. And also, if you want to join us in Dallas, May 19th for the Black Wealth Training Camp, just go to boycewatkins.com. Take care, everybody. God bless you. Thank you so much for listening. I'll check back in with you later. Peace.